was lifted up. And there came a generation upon generation, and Enoch was high and lifted up even in the bosom of the Father and the Son of Man, and beheld the power of... Okay. Anyway, so Zion in process of time was taken up into heaven. Enoch was translated in about the year 2948 BC, according to our timeline. See if this mentions Enoch taken here. Oh, sorry about that part. Okay, now we're going to get to the interesting stuff. How this turns out to be so important for LDS truth and belief here. We are now in the Book of Ether, the Book of Mormon, the first people to come and inhabit the continent of the Americas, leaving, it says, Babylon in the days of Nimrod at the Tower of Babel. Here it says, the language of the Jaredites is not confounded at the Tower of Babel. The Lord promises to lead them to a choice land and make them a great nation. That's in chapter 1. So that puts us about 2200 BC. Now we come to the really famous LDS story here, where the Lord has commanded Jared, the brother of Jared, to build barges, well, all the people, so that they can go across the sea in them. And the problem is, they don't have any windows because they're going to function some of the time like submarines, or at least go underwater. So the Lord asked Jared, brother of Jared, to come up with a solution. And so he says he did molten out of rock 16 small stones, and they were white and clear, even as transparent glass. And he did carry them in his hands upon the top of the mount, and cried unto the Lord, saying things like, we know you're great and we're not, but please have mercy on us and just go ahead and touch these stones, O Lord, with thy finger, and prepare them that they may shine forth in darkness. And they shall shine forth unto us in the vessels which we have prepared, that we may have light while we shall cross the sea. And it came to pass that when the brother of Jared had said these words, behold, the Lord stretched forth his hand, and touched the stones one by one with his finger. And the veil was taken from off the eyes of the brother of Jared, and he saw the finger of the Lord, and it was as the finger of a man, like unto flesh and blood. And the brother of Jared fell down before the Lord, for he was struck with fear. And the Lord saw that the brother of Jared had fallen to the earth. And the Lord said unto him, Arise, why hast thou fallen? And he said unto the Lord, I saw the finger of the Lord, and I feared, lest he should smite me, for I knew not that the Lord had flesh and blood. And the Lord said unto him, Because of thy faith thou hast seen that I shall take upon me flesh and blood. And never has man come before me with such exceeding faith as thou hast. For were it not so, ye could not have seen my finger. Sawest thou more than this? Okay, so he says no one's ever had that much faith, the faith that was required in order to see his finger. He said, Nay, Lord, show thyself to me. And the Lord said unto him, Believest thou the words which I shall speak? And he answered, Yea, Lord, I know that thou speakest the truth, for thou art a God of truth, and canst not lie. So, when he had said these words, behold, the Lord showed himself unto him, and said, Because thou knowest these things, ye are redeemed from the fall. Therefore ye are brought back into my presence. Therefore I show myself unto you. Now this gets interesting. Behold, I am he who was prepared from the foundation of the world to redeem my people. Behold, I am Jesus Christ. I am the Father and the Son. That's interesting. He's the Father and the Son. In me shall all mankind have life, and that eternally, even they who shall believe on my name, and they shall become my sons and my daughters. Okay, so that was pretty interesting. That's Trinitarian Catholic doctrine. It's the Father and the Son. Now here's the big deal, coupled again with verse 9. Verse 15 says, And never have I showed myself unto man whom I have created. For never has man believed in me as thou hast. Seest thou that thou art created after mine own image? Yea, even all men were created in the beginning after mine own image. Okay, verse 9 and verse 15. And the Lord said unto him, Because of thy faith thou hast seen that I shall take upon me flesh and blood, and never has man come before me with such exceeding faith as thou hast. For were it not so, if it wasn't the case, in other words, you could not have seen my finger. Verse 15, And never have I showed myself unto man whom I have created. For never has man believed in me as thou hast. No one ever had enough faith to see the Lord. He says here, 2200 BC, 1800 years after Adam left the garden, about 900 years after Adam, Seth, Enos, Canaan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, all these patriarchs, and all the other righteous descendants of Adam were in the Adam-on-Diamond Valley, and the Lord visited them, spoke to them. Also, we saw that it was when it was 240 years before that on our timeline that Enoch, excuse me, okay, here's the Great Flood. Here's about where we are with the time of the Jaredites after the flood of Noah, 150 or 200 years. We back up another 600 years or so when Noah was born, and a couple hundred more back before that. Enoch, born here, 3378 BC, 3313 BC, it says. That's when Methuselah was born, and this is when he starts visiting with the Lord face to face. And here's when Adam and all those people 3073 BC, 3 years before this date, Adam died. So this is when Adam's 930 almost, and this is when Adam would have been about 1800 years old, 900 years later. And it's saying that the Lord had never appeared to anyone and that no one had sufficient faith. We already read that Enoch had such faith that he saw the Lord face to face, that he moved mountains, that he moved rivers, that the language God had given him was so powerful. And so the Book of Mormon account with Jesus talking to the brother of Jared says that he's never showed himself to anyone, contrary to the other accounts in the Lds Scripture. How do we figure on that? Isn't the Book of Mormon supposed to be true? That means that Joseph Smith was a prophet and the church is true? All of these came by direct revelation from God to Joseph Smith, he says, yet they all contradict each other. Here's our timeline. 8 through chapter 3. I'm going to sign off.